Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Well, it's an interesting times that we're in, that we're facing, that we're going through, that are challenging us. But the key of any challenge is that whenever we have a challenge, is to challenge the challenge itself. That's a lot to do with the key of living. And as we're challenged individually with those challenges that we each face, as well as the challenges that are happening in the world today that we're seeing that are going on, that are creating a disruption, really creating a disruption in the psyche of humans. Because this kind of activity that we see that's going on, that disruption creates an uncertainty in the mind and a duality of the mind. But it's meant to do that. It's very planned, very specific, to mentally create a division within us so that we doubt our own thinking process, and that leads to inaction. So inaction or inactivity is the goal of those who want to create the duality of the mind, to enter into the psyche and to create a division within our own selves and our own thinking process. And this is very true. It's a very true aspect of what's happening today. Which is why it's so important, and you hear me talk all the time about how important it is that we maintain a strong spiritual practice and a strong spiritual identity within ourselves. So there's those two aspects. One is the spiritual practice, the other is spiritual identity. So spiritual practice is to have that daily routine, that practice of meditating each day, doing your exercising, doing that scripture, whatever it happens to be, nitnem pot, whatever it happens to be that gives you that balance in that spiritual practice to set yourself so that psyche can be set to that spirituality. And the other aspect is spiritual identity. And spiritual identity is the relationship that you have within yourself that represents the light, or what we call the jyot, the light that shines within you, and to recognize that light and to see the vastness of the light within you, because your light connects to the light of the universe. So there's two aspects, but both merge into each other, because through the spiritual practice, the spiritual identity becomes stronger. So identifying yourself in that spiritual way, you can say, is simply that aspect of seeing that light that lives in you and seeing the light that lives into the heart of every soul. And that's a key understanding to live a balanced life. And to be able to be balanced mentally is very, very important. So our physical body needs to be relaxed, nervous system, all those parts. We need to eat properly and digest properly. All those things that our physical body requires, good breathing, understanding the breath, all those things that we work on to understand the nature of our physical self and how we as a physical body in this physical form are aligning ourselves to the environment. Because physical form, it is a merge into the environment, so the environment in which you have surrounding you is going to be a lot depending on how your physical body reacts. And when the physical body is in an environment that is relaxed and comfortable and peaceful, then the mental bodies relax. And when the mental body relaxes, then we can have a clearer channel to our own infinity. So the physical body needs to be in that environment of rest. The mental bodies need to feel the rest of the physical body in order to understand the vastness of our mental bodies, which project into our infinity, which gives us the experience of consciousness. That experience of consciousness comes from that direct channel of light, which is in your soul, your Atma, and your heart, that connects to the light and to the soul of each of us, connects to the light and the soul of the entire universe, connects to the light and the soul of the entire cosmos. And back to us, it's a movement that goes through us, to the universe, to the cosmos, back to the universe, through the cosmos, back to us individually, and back to us as a collective, as a sankat, or as a community. So there's always that interaction. It never stops. That interaction is continuous. And it's a continuous interaction that exists in every element of everything that you do and everyone who surrounds you and everything that you see. It's all part of that. So the understanding is to have that relationship of understanding. That's what we call spiritual relationship. So 3 things we've talked about: spiritual practice, spiritual identity, and spiritual relationship. Three aspects to balance us, to help us to get through the challenges that we're facing during these times. And the fourth part of that we call seva. The fourth part is to help others, serve others. Seva means service, to serve others and to help others. Your soul, your Atma, recognizes the souls in others, becomes Mahatma, becomes great soul. But great soul then evolves to Paramatma, which means infinite soul, when you merge into the soul of everyone. So Mahatma, when Atma, soul, becomes great soul, Mahatma, you see the soul in each person and everyone. The next stage is the infinity of self, which is Mahatma, infinite soul, that merges into the infinite self and into the infinite soul of everyone. So there's never a separation. This is how consciousness evolves. So these aspects I'm talking today is about the evolution of your consciousness through your practice, through your identity, and through your relationship, in order to help others, serve others through that seva. And through that find a completeness within yourself and a balance within yourself. Then your auric, your electromagnetic field, your auric field becomes stronger. And you're not affected by what is existing that could be pulling you away from that. You have to be strong in that. We have to be strong together in that, so we're not pulled away from that. That is the challenge of the times, as I'm saying about the division of our psyche, that we are being pulled against that. But we have to merge more and more, merge into the consciousness of our own being, our own soul, our own self, our own heart, to understand the vastness of our reality and to grow through these times. We can't stop growing. We can't stop flowing. And we can't stop knowing what needs to happen and what is existent. And that comes through our intuitive consciousness, which is developed through our meditative practice. Through that practice of vibrating the sound current, going deep within, understanding the flow of that light within you, connecting your light. Because that opens the channels of intuitive consciousness. There's a difference between being psychic and intuitive consciousness. Intuitive consciousness is based on the vastness of your association to the entire universe, to the entire Akashic fields, and merging into that Akashic field, that etheric field of light. That's intuitive consciousness. So you know the unknown, you see the unseen, you hear the unheard, and you speak the unspoken. There are four elements: to know the unknown, to see the unseen, to speak the unspoken. These are aspects that are given as a gift when consciousness merges into intuition. And that is created through the internal vibration of you. That's created by the tapa, that heat that resides within you, that opens those channels to move through the central nerve of the spine, through that shushumna, through that growth through you to experience. So it starts with you and your commitment to your understanding of yourself in relationship to the universe in which you live. And challenging those challenges that come to you with consciousness, with balance, to know all of those things and to represent it within yourself. The representation of that knowledge, of that understanding within yourself is what we call personality. Personality becomes that which is the vibration of the entire universe within the cell structure to the very cell, 30 trillion cells, which exist in with you to vibrate that frequency. And that is your identity, to understand that. It's a very beautiful, beautiful understanding that's very vast, yet it's very immediate. It's not so complicated. And it's not complicated because we can have the realization. We can have the true realization of the true being of you. So know yourself, be yourself, love yourself, and trust yourself. Those are the 4 principles that ignite that intuitive consciousness. To know yourself, to love yourself, to be yourself, and to trust yourself. And that we call the power of Nam Simran, the power of the meditation on the vibration of the Nam, which is the vibration of the personality of your identity within you that reaches the identity of the infinity of consciousness throughout the whole universe, throughout the entire cosmos, that vibrates out through you and vibrates back into you. And that's an ongoing movement process, so that we always remain elevated in that consciousness. There's not a time we say, well, today I'm in my higher consciousness, but by 5 p.m. I'm back to my lower consciousness. No, it doesn't exist that way. And that's not how it works. Consciousness is constant. The constant awareness of your capacity to tap into your infinity is the definition of consciousness. So tap into that infinity. How do we tap into it? Through the vibration of the sound current. As we meditate, as we do with the mantras that we use, that are vibrating at a very specific frequency of sound we call Shabad, we call the balance of the self, that vibrates deep within us, that opens those channels to connect us. Because human body is like an instrument, it's like a guitar. And we have, as guitar has those strings, we call that surs. We have these surs that exist within our elemental field. And those surs, or those strings, have to be in tune. If you have a guitar and those strings are out of tune and you strum that guitar, it doesn't sound like anything. But if that guitar is in tune and you make that chord and you do that strum, it sounds just beautiful. But that's the same way as we have to tune these surs, these strings, so that there's a harmony of flow of sound. That's the anahat. That unstruck music that exists within us is called anahata. Anahat is the vibration of the heart. So there's many things to understand, there's many things to realize, but keep yourself balanced in these times and understand consciousness. And those 3 aspects of self, explore that within yourself. Your spiritual practice, your spiritual identity, and your spiritual relationship. And evaluate the balance of that. And what needs correcting, correct it. What needs to be expanded, expand. What needs to be realized, realize. And you'll see that you'll move through these times, and not only you will move through these times, but many will be carried with you. We say, Jinni namadiyaya, gemashakitagal, nanakate mukha ujale, keti shuti nal. Jinni nam dhyaya. Those who go deep into meditation, dhyaya means the depth of that meditation. Jinni nam dhyaya, meditating on that vibration of the nam. That through that you become radiant. Gemashakitagali, you become radiant in your spirit. And you become very smiling. Nanakate mukujale keti shuti na. Many shall be carried with you by the grace of Nanak. Many shall be carried with you. This is a very simple realization. But it all starts with Nandiyaya. It all starts with a meditation. To give you that radiance so that you become balanced in yourself and you carry many others with you. So let us understand that, let us live it to our highest potential of self. And let us pray for peace on this planet, peace on this earth, peace in our hearts, peace in our streets, peace in our homes, peace in our countries. And let us celebrate peace together so that we can create a future that shall be bright and beautiful and abundant for every person, for everyone. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Please join Bhai Harinam Singh Khalsa every Sunday morning from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. Pacific Time for our Gurbani Vichar program in English on Sherry Punjab Radio AM 600, which can be live streamed in your time zone at am600.ca.